The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max Smackdown Review.
And we are live to tape here on the W2M Network. This is the Wrestling to the Max Smackdown Live Review. My name is Harry Broadhurst. Joining me, as per usual now, my co-host, Miss Liz Pugliese. Good evening, Liz.
Good evening, Harry. How was your Halloween?
Indifference. I didn't really do anything, although I am going to take serious advantage of the Halloween candy sales tomorrow, so I got that going for me.
That's my plan. I'm going to grab my niece. She's excited and go up and hit the sale.
Like, that was my big thing when I was a kid. Like, when I was younger and I would go trick-or-treating, the candy was great and stuff. But when you had the people that would give you money and then you could go hit the after-Halloween sales, it was fantastic.
We're so alike. It's disgusting.
I am the Al Snow of this podcast. Pin me, pay me, give me candy. All right, let's move on. As mentioned, it is the SmackDown Live Review for Halloween night, October 31st, 2017, and we are indeed a presentation of the W2M Network, available online at www.w2mnet.com, your home for everything you've wanted in the fields of wrestling, football, soccer, video games, entertainment, and, a whole bunch of other stuff, too, that you can find over at w2mnet.com. In addition, we are also occasionally provided to you through 411mania.com/wrestling and Last Word on ProWrestling.com, so we want to thank both of them for having us. What do you say we get to it, Liz?
Let's go.
Here comes the money, and there went our continuity, as Shane McMahon starts off the show. Okay, I make the joke, but it's not actually true, because Shane does keep continuity here about the fact that he talks about the fact that Bryan went to Raw yesterday. He talks about the fact that Bryan got his ass handed to him when he went to Raw yesterday. He talks about the fact that this is SmackDown's opportunity. They take the fight to Raw. They prove that they aren't the B show anymore. Shane then proceeds to add himself to the Team SmackDown for the SmackDown vs. Raw men's match to happen a little bit later on in the month at Survivor Series. I believe we currently sit 17 days away, I want to say? It sounds right. Yeah, that sounds about right. I want to say it's like October 19th or something, so it might actually be 19 days, 2 weeks and 5 days, so that's probably more accurate. Anyway, so we now know two of the members of Team SmackDown in Shane McMahon and Randy Orton, who qualified last week by beating Sami Zayn. We find out two more tonight in Kevin Owens versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which we'll get to a little bit later. And what we'll get to next, our opening contest, as a matter of fact, Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler in 2 out of 3 falls. Your thoughts on Shane's promo tonight, Liz?
He was good, as usual. Didn't say anything shocking. I think we all rather suspected that he was going to be team captain. But it was all right.
Yeah, Shane's like contractually obligated to wrestle a couple of times a year now that he's back with the company. I mean, he's already wrestled twice this year, but you figure the Survivor Series match is kind of a team match, so he doesn't require as much effort. Plus, right, this year he's a lot less likely to get murdered by Roman Reigns.
Well, never know. We still don't know what Roman's doing at Survivor Series. Well,
I guess that'll depend if Roman is over the mumps by then.
Yeah.
1996 called. They want their disease back.
Stop it.
Anyway, so as I said, that does take us into our opening contest for the evening. It is Bobby Roode taking on Dolph Ziggler in a 2 out of 3 falls match here. And, okay, before we actually talk about the overall context of the match here, because I'm sure we'll get to that in a second here. I want to get your thoughts on what you thought about the fact that one of the falls occurred in the picture-in-picture commercial break. Do you like that?
I hate the picture-in-picture commercial break thing. I absolutely hate it. I counted during a different match. There were 10 commercials. It's very hard the commercials obviously take up most of the screen. It's very distracting. I completely missed one of the sorry, I'm a mess tonight. I completely missed the pinfall that you're discussing, that you just mentioned because of that. I find them too distracting. I'm not a fan of the whole picture-in-picture thing at all.
Ziggler took the Cesaro into the ring post catapult without jacking up his grill, and then got caught with a sunset flip coming back for the 3 count to tie up the match at 1 fall each.
Mm-hmm.
So the bright side for Dolph is at least he didn't Cesaro himself.
Right.
That being said, your overall thoughts on the Ziggler versus Root match? I actually thought this was pretty good and better than their pay-per-view performance.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good match. Dolph was very tan.
Dolph is always very tan.
No, he was tanner than normal today. It was like, ooh. He was like Zack Ryder tan. No, it was a really good match. I really enjoyed it. I thought both of them put out a really good effort.
So what you're saying is woo woo woo, I know it?
Yes, I know that they did a very good match tonight. Had a very good match tonight.
All right, I'll stop with the bad jokes, at least for now. So that adds Bobby Roode to the team for SmackDown. Roode then cuts a promo after the match, joined by Renee Young, talking about how he thinks that SmackDown's going to win there. But Roode stays away from catchphrases for the course of this match, instead choosing to focus on putting the team first. I found this odd because it does not fit the Bobby Roode character at all.
Yeah, he actually stumbled too. He said compassion and then covered it up and said passion, which kind of
competitiveness.
Yeah, and then threw it as well. I thought it was a little odd as well that he would be the one that would almost try to unify the team.
I feel like Bobby Roode, rah, rah, go team, go, just doesn't work.
No.
Bobby Roode should be about one person and one person only. Bobby Roode. Exactly. All right, so we go backstage and we set up a match for later on in the evening as Rusev and Aiden English, confront the New Day as they're walking around handing out candy to people backstage. Rusev complains about the fact that they're handing out candy due to the fact that they don't know when Raw is going to evade. I have a sneaking suspicion that we do know now because of what they announced for next week. We'll talk about that in a bit. And I think the most important thing to talk about here are the costumes.
Are they? Are they really? No. I wanted Rusev and Big E. I wanted that match, and they disappointed me greatly. But I loved the costumes. I'm sorry, honey. I think with the New Day, you really expected more video game or anime or whatever. But I thought they were great.
It's pretty common knowledge that a couple members of the New Day are big fans of the Something to Wrestle With podcast with Bruce Pritchard. So Kofi Kingston being Brother Love does not surprise me at all.
I didn't even know we had a podcast, so.
Oh, Liz, do you have Spotify?
I do.
Search for it on there. You won't be disappointed. Anyway, okay. Back to the show we are reviewing. Xavier Woods is Jimmy Hart. Not bad.
No.
Big E as Akeem the African Dream. Someone's getting a letter from a lawyer. George Gray strikes me as the type to sue.
What?
I don't know why. He just strikes me as the type to sue. I'm just saying it could happen. It would not surprise me. Dun, dun, dun. So, as you mentioned, and as we talked about, that sets up Rusev versus Big E for a little bit later on. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and talk about that match right now since we're on it here. Rusev wins! Wait, what? Rusev wins?
That was the only redeeming, as much as I love Big E, that That was the only redeeming quality about this match. Rusev, I can't talk tonight. Oh my god, I apologize. Rusev and Big E should have been, in my opinion, two bulls fighting head to head. A little bit of violence, smashing each other around, and we got mostly comedy. I mean, it was a decent match, but it could have been way, way better.
You see, I think that we're not anywhere near done with this storyline, though. And
No,
I'm okay with this in the context of which that it happened tonight, because I feel like the New Day versus Rusev and Aiden English is a way that they're going to go down the road, and I'm perfectly okay with that, because you need something for the New Day to do, and frankly, we've talked about this so many times on this show already, even back when Sean was my co-host, that Rusev is so criminally underrated in the WWE right now that he is not being used to his full potential, but this right here gives him the opportunity to express himself inside of the ring, as well as showcase his personality alongside Aiden English.
Oh no, I do completely agree, and we got a lot of Rusev tonight because he popped up again later on, which is great. He definitely has a personality that the fans love on social media. He's very entertaining. You see a totally different side of him, and it's great that they're letting some of that, come through. But just even for the first match, and I left me disappointed.
Rusev Day! I, for one, personally choose to celebrate Rusev Day.
I could celebrate it.
I'm pro Rusev Day. That's all I'm saying. And hey, if it means more Lana, so much the better. Speaking of Lana, the SmackDown ladies are next. Segue! As we have a backstage segment where Becky's trying to fire up the team. Okay. So Bobby Roode trying to fire up the team makes no sense whatsoever to me. Becky Lynch trying to fire up the team makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, team captain has to get her people in order. Absolutely, made perfect sense. It was a good speech. The whole James thing just needs to go away.
I got a chuckle out of James being dressed as a dog.
I know, that was cute.
And then Becky spraying him with water. It was a nice touch.
It was, but it's done. They beat that horse to death.
I disagree. I think there's still legs with this here. Not to mention, Ellsworth is surprisingly popular at live events.
Really?
And the dude's been busting his ass in wrestling for so long that, frankly, if he's getting a minor break like this, hey, so much the better for him, I got no problem with it.
To each their own.
I mean, I can understand how it can be kind of divisive. I get that. Excuse me. But at the same time, I can also understand how people would be on either side of the subject as well, because I enjoy Ellsworth. I think he plays the character fantastically, but at the same time, it is a character that we've seen done before in similar contexts and done to a better extent by other people as well.
I'm sorry, that's part of it, but I think they've really pushed it by having him, on a leash. The dog costume is one thing, that's hysterical. But having him on a leash and that type of thing, for me, that's just kind of jumped the shark.
Oh, God, I feel there's a joke I can make here, but I might get us into trouble for it. Because I'm sure there's a segment of the audience that somebody being on a leash and inside of a dog costume actually appeals to.
Probably.
I mean, if anything, we can use this to segue into what I'm going to start as a recurring feature here on the SmackDown review of Corey Graves' dig of the week. Excuse me. See, I'm stumbling just as much as you are. Don't feel bad. All right. We'll get to that in a second. What we will get to right now, though, is Baron Corbin and Sin Cara.
Yeah, it was just there. I was more interested in Baron's new vest that he might have had for a while, but I just noticed.
You know what the best part of this match was?
No. The end?
When Baron Corbin's music started. You know what the worst part was? When his music ended. Because everything after the song stopping was straight downhill.
With Sin Cara, they're getting a nice storyline. Whoever's under the mask these days. But this was just brutal.
For me, it's just I have no interest in fake Sin Cara.
Yeah, I've lost track of who's under the mask.
Unico.
Oh, is that who this one's right now?
Yeah. I to be fair, I didn't particularly care about the real Sin Cara unless he was schmucking stuff up, because then it was entertaining at least. But the fake Sin Cara I could care even less about here, and there are so many other more qualified people to be giving this push that Sin Cara is getting on the SmackDown roster.
Yeah, it's just big guy versus little guy, and like you said about James, it's just something we've seen before, and we've seen done better.
I want to say it was during the Big E Rusev match that we had. Oh, no, it was during Styles and Samir Singh that Corey got his line in on Saxton, so we'll get to that in a second. Renee Young interviews the Uso brothers, and they are once again interrupted by the team of Wow. I'm thinking American Alpha's back together. Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. Is there anything Chad Gable can't do?
I loved his line, "I speak their language." I just started cracking up.
The fact that he kind of mini-rapped him, too, was pretty funny as well.
It was.
We're going to take you down. When I say new, you say tag champs, new. And then Shelton dropping the tag champs and then doing a victorious circle around Gable made me laugh a lot harder than I probably like to admit that it did.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how much I like the two of them together.
See, this is the kind of stuff that they could have been doing with Gable and Jordan when they were a team, instead of not having them on SmackDown for weeks at a time.
Except I think Benjamin has a bit more of a personality than Jordan to pull it off.
Well, that I agree with. Not to mention, you can make the argument that Shelton Benjamin's a much more established name with the WWE fan base as well.
Definitely.
That takes us to the modern day Maharaja. My mistake. My over-under for this match at Survivor Series is 3 minutes, by the way, Liz. Did I just hear myself say 3? Never mind.
I'm shaking my head at you. You can't see me, but I'm shaking my head.
That sounds like a comment I usually use on Wrestling Unwrapped. Air quotes on an audio podcast. Anyways, Mahal comes out and cuts a promo talking about the fact that he will beat, victimize, and conquer Lesnar, which leads Saxton to say something along the lines of Mahal must be living on a fantasy island. And then Corey Graves snaps back with, yeah, that sounds like one of those websites you frequent.
Yeah, Corey always has the best lines. Always has the best lines of the night. Corey's actually the only one on the SmackDown announced team that I like. The other two I find extremely boring.
Not to mention, you can kind of see Corey's raw bias coming out as well here, which I think is going to make for fun at the announce table as well, because I'd like to see Saxton kind of stand up for himself, but frankly, it'll never happen. Anyway, AJ Styles versus Samir Singh happens, and then just as quickly, it's over. Thanks for coming, Samir! That said, a post-match beatdown by Mahal sees him lay out Styles with a pair of Colossus.
I wasn't expecting that. Makes sense. It makes sense, but I wasn't expecting it for whatever reason.
So they're pretty much setting up Styles as Mahal's next challenger post-Survivor Series. SmackDown has the only pay-per-view remaining of 2017 after the Survivor Series, and it looks like the main event's probably going to be Mahal and Styles. Are you okay with that?
No. I mean, it is. I was actually going to ask you when you thought we were going to get Jinder and AJ, since it's Jinder Brock at Survivor Series.
Oh, I can't.
It is what it is.
I can't tell. I'm sorry, real quick here. I just can't tell you how badly I would much prefer to see AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. But go ahead.
Everybody would. Everybody would.
Continue though. Continue your thought. Yeah. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I was saying that I was wondering when we would finally get AJ Jinder, how long this was going to be dragged out, but you just answered my question. No, I can't honestly say that I'm looking forward to, AJ Jinder. I'm looking forward to that as much as I'm looking forward to Jinder Brock. I like Jinder. I always have, but I just think as a champion, for me, I don't know, he's just there. When was the last time he even wrestled on SmackDown?
I feel like the answer to that question is a loss to somebody, and I don't know who.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't know. I mean, he's there. It is what it is, as I usually say. And, I want to say, it could be good, but it's really just wait and see. It's one of those things that maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised with.
They had a match on SmackDown earlier in the summer that Mahal won on his build towards Orton when he first won the title. And that match was surprisingly tolerable. So the question is going to be, how big of a miracle worker can AJ Styles become when it comes to getting a decent match out of Jinder Mahal?
Only time will tell.
Jinder Mahal is the 2017 version of John Bradshaw Layfield.
Yeah, well, that's sad but true.
And unfortunately, and I can't believe I'm about to say these words, I think Bradshaw was a better worker. And I can guarantee you Bradshaw was a better promo.
Yes. I was going to say Bradshaw definitely had more personality. I mean, I even feel bad saying that because, like I said, I do like Jinder. And I'm one of the rare ones that do think, maybe it could have worked. I don't feel that it did all that well, but no expert. But JBL definitely had more of a personality. I think he was definitely able to connect, with the fans more. Well,
trying to run Eddie Guerrero out of the country probably drew him some legitimate heat as well, so there's that.
That's a story for another time, because I don't even know what you're talking about.
2004 SmackDown. 2004 episodes of SmackDown in May. Check out the network, Liz.
Ouch. Okay, I will.
All right. Sami and Kevin Owens backstage as they talk and plot their plan for tonight's main event when Kevin takes on Shinsuke Nakamura. We'll touch on this when we talk about that match. Yet another Bludgeon Brothers promo. How long are they going to postpone these guys?
It's going to be another Emelina.
I hope they don't get released like Emma did.
Oh, poor Emma. Actually, I do feel bad for her. That was kind of shocking.
Poor me, not getting to see hot-ass evil Emma every Monday night. And Tony's just in denial right now, frankly.
Okay. She shows it all the time on her Instagram. Join Instagram, Harry. Come to the dark side.
Yeah, not a social media person. You guys have me on Facebook. Accept it. That's about where it ends for me.
You don't need to post. You can just look.
Yeah. I just look at the pictures when they get posted over at 401 Mania. Anywho, the aforementioned Rusev Big E matches here we have already discussed. Sin Cara's interview we have already discussed. Rusev versus AJ Styles next week on SmackDown. You know what? There's not a snowball's chance in hell Rusev wins this match. But at the same time, I think if you give Rusev 10 to 15 minutes in a SmackDown main event against AJ Styles, hopefully Rusev will open a lot of eyes with the brass of this company, and they'll realize that they have a main event level player in Rusev.
Rusev's had, I think, some really good matches, but he's gotten lost in the shuffle. I'm looking forward to it. I agree with you. I think that given the time, we could get a really good match next week. I do think AJ is going to win.
Well, I stand by my statement that I don't think Rusev has a snowballs in this match. That being said, though, I do look forward to a really strong performance by Rusev, and I feel like he could have an opportunity to solidify himself as that upper mid card / sometime main eventer over on the Blue brand. I feel like maybe the top of the card on SmackDown might be a little bit stronger than the top of the card on Raw is on a consistent basis, mostly due to the fact that the Raw champion is never around. But that being said, I feel like Rusev is somebody who could unquestionably be put into that main event picture, and most people wouldn't bat an eye.
No, they wouldn't. Rusev has a huge fan base, and I think they're totally missing out by not capitalizing on it.
Are you a Netflix person, Liz?
Yeah, I have it.
Have you watched Stranger Things?
No. I mean, I know, I've seen clips, and I know little bits of it. So some of this was lost on me, but I still found it entertaining.
First of all, Tyler Breeze's Egos being Uggos was hilarious. Second of all, Ty Dillinger getting in on the act made me chuckle.
Yeah, that was funny.
Third of all, the Ascension is still apparently anti-gluten, which makes me hate them again. Fourth and finally, it looks like we're finally starting to make some progress on the Bludgeon Brothers versus Breezango. I ask again, when do we think the Bludgeon Brothers actually debut in the ring? And more than likely, probably against Breezango, no less.
Either right before or right after Survivor Series. I mean, they can't really drag it. I mean, they can, but hopefully they won't drag it out too much longer.
You can't really judge how they're doing with the Bludgeon Brother thing by not having them in front of a live audience, is my point. Much the same way that they tested out the Emelina thing in front of a live crowd, and Emma just couldn't pull off the character. Although, if you believe the story, it's because Emma didn't want to pull off the character. Regardless, eventually you have to cross that line and take them in front of a live audience and have them actually back in the ring as a tag team. I am of the opinion that their tag team run back when the Wyatt family was first a thing is severely underrated. These guys had some phenomenal matches against the Usos. That Go ahead.
So sorry. That's one thing that they do have going for them. They have worked together before, and they were a very good tag team together. But I would think, I guess they don't really do it anymore. Roll them out a bit at a house show, here or there, something. But I mean, I could see them debuting them sooner rather than later. I would hope.
We'll find out as we come closer here. Like we said earlier, 19 days away from the Survivor Series, so we'll see what happens. Main event's up next, Liz. It's Kevin Owens taking on Shinsuke Nakamura for a spot on Team SmackDown. Bold statement here. Minus a little bit of overbooking towards the finish here, probably Nakamura's best match on the main roster.
Very good match.
Well, okay, allow me to take that back. I'm going to backtrack off of that a little bit. Nakamura's best match on the main roster against somebody not named John Cena. Because the Cena match going into SummerSlam was very good.
That was a very good match.
Go ahead.
No, I was really surprised by the match. I really didn't know what to expect. Obviously, they both can put on a great match. But seeing as how they've had Shinsuke I guess the last couple of months, actually, you were kind of like, is Kevin going to steamroll through him, or is it actually going to be a good match? I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Is somebody dying over there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Unless I smother her, there's no way I can mute it out. She has pneumonia.
Well, I hope she feels better.
Thank you.
I just figured we'd address it so that the people listening knew that we were aware of it. We apologize. Okay, we move on. So the finish sees Sami Zayn come down to ringside to help out Kevin Owens. This works for a little bit until Randy Orton's music hits. Sami and Kevin pull dumb babyface move number 6, waiting for the entrance of the good guy, and Randy Orton comes from out of nowhere, dun dun dun, to drop Sami Zayn on the announce table with a back suplex. A hook kick by Shinsuke and a Kinshasa! Later, this match is a wrap.
Yeah, the ending sort of came out of nowhere for me. I don't know if I got distracted towards the end or what, but I kind of liked it. I'm like, oh, wait, it's over. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I think it just kind of got muddled a bit there at the end.
Wait, you're saying it came out of nowhere? Dun, dun, dun?
Yeah, I walked into that one, didn't I?
Well, I mean, I made the same joke when I was talking about how the finish went down, too. So, yeah, a little bit. I get the continuation here with Sammy and Kevin against Randy and Shinsuke. But that being said, I think it would be a mistake to keep Sammy and Kevin off of the Survivor Series card. So hopefully they find something for Sammy and Kevin sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. There has to be something that they will wind up having them do. It would seem odd that after all this build-up, they'd have them off the pay-per-view. Let's just hope it's not on the pre-show.
I mean, I'm almost hoping for something along the lines of, let's say you do Sammy and Kevin taking the tag titles off of, like we talked about last week on the show. You have Sammy and Kevin be the one to take the tag titles off of the Usos, and then you can do Sammy and Kevin against Dean and Seth at Survivor Series.
I'd be perfectly okay with that.
I mean, obviously they still have 3 more episodes of SmackDown to get through in order to go to Survivor Series, so they have time to get there. Or not 3 more episodes, 2 more episodes, sorry. They have 2 more episodes of SmackDown to go through before we get to Survivor Series, so they have time to get there. The question is what are they going to decide to do with Sammy and Kevin? Because in my opinion, as of right now, Sammy and Kevin are probably the biggest attraction on SmackDown. With the possible exception of AJ Styles.
Right. Hopefully it won't be something like dumb, like they end up costing SmackDown the match.
You know, you mentioned that, and I frankly wouldn't be at all surprised to see it happen.
I know, neither would I. That's why I said it. I kind of think that's where they're going with it.
Jeez, it's almost like somebody called a major turn happening back at the prior pay-per-view as well. It's like you can see into Sami Zayn's creative future.
Maybe I can.
Are you secretly one of the WWE writers on Reddit?
I wish.
All right, let's go ahead and put a nice, pretty little bow on this episode here, Liz. What did you think overall? Scale of 1 to 10.
It'll be nice. I'll give it a 6. There were parts that helped my interest, parts that really didn't.
See, I'm going to be a little bit nicer than that. I think, I'm pro wrestling. And I don't mean that in terms of professional wrestling. Yuck. No, I mean I'm in favor of wrestling shows where there's actually a lot of wrestling on the show, and that is something that SmackDown delivers on a week-in, week-out basis. The opening match between Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, and then your main event between Kevin Owens and Shinsuke Nakamura were arguably the 2 best matches of the week, with the possible exception of the Intercontinental title match from Raw the night before between The Miz and Matt Hardy. Because that match was surprisingly good. That being said, though, I think I got to give SmackDown an advantage over Raw this week when it comes to my overall performance, just due to the fact that as much as the story that was told on SmackDown this week was told in the ring, and I prefer that way. So I'm going to go ahead and go with a 6.5.
Okay, that seems fair.
We got to find you something to plug, Liz, because I got all this stuff that I have to plug, and you don't plug anything yet. We got to find you something to plug. Maybe we can
just sit here and listen.
Maybe we can plug Liz's Tupperware. How's that?
That would be so weird. It does not go with wrestling at all.
Well, I'm plugging it anyway. Check for her on Facebook, and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, anywho. As for me, in addition to doing the SmackDown and 205 Live reviews, you can also listen to myself, Stephen III, and Brandon Biskabing as we present the Kickoff every Wednesday night here on the W2M Network. And in addition, myself and Patrick Ketza celebrate our anniversary. Can't believe I've put up with this jackass for 50 episodes. As we do Survivor Series 1997 this Sunday night on Wrestling Unwrapped. So make sure you guys stay tuned and pay attention for that. Abadibib, but that's all, folks. I'm going to Porky Pig the bejesus out of this show before we're done here. In addition, check us out over on W2Mnet.com for more information and more articles and stories and topics and podcasts in the worlds of pro wrestling, obviously, football, as I mentioned, my show, as well as Football to the Max, the official affiliated podcast for the W2M Network. Soccer to the Max being recorded tonight. Check it out here. We're getting closer and closer to the MLS Cup. I forget what they call it because it's been a long time since I've watched MLS. video games, movies, and entertainment, and so much more. That's when you check us out over on W2Mnet.com. So, for our executive producer for the evening, Paul Leeser, and my co-host, Miss Liz Pugliese, I'm Harry Broadhurst, thanking you for listening to the Wrestling to the Max SmackDown Live review for October 31st, 2017. Talk to you next Tuesday night.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.